Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. If you're new to the show, our goal here is to create some content, some fantastic content for athletes, parents, and coaches. We tell stories, have laughs, and go into everything that is the end game of athletic performance, helping athletes achieve their optimal performance and be the best they can possibly be. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. With me today, from Eastern Illinois, making a comeback from podcast Oak Performance Radio podcast number 20, episode 20, now to episode 127. She waited 102 episodes to come back. Miss Emma Schroeder.
It was 102 episodes before you invited me back.
I know. This was my fault.
It's okay.
This was my fault, but you made it. You are here now.
I'm here now.
And look at this. Emma, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I know you're a busy person. You're doing lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
You have a full schedule today.
I do have a full schedule
You
today.
came in extra early.
I did.
Make sure you get your training in.
Woke up extra early. Yeah.
Trained last night.
I did, and it was fun.
Look at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're a collegiate athlete.
Or something like that, I guess. I don't know.
Emma, for the tons of people that listen to the show that might not know who you are and why you're such a big deal, tell them who you are and why you're such a big deal.
I wouldn't say I'm a big deal, but, you know.
But people know who I am.
Like you said, I'm Emma Schroeder. I played at Kent State University, and I just recently transferred to Eastern Illinois University. And yeah, I played at VC. I grew up here, played here from 14s to 18s. Was here when it was founded, you know? And yeah.
Oh, you were here year one. Yeah. Okay.
OG. I'm an OG.
Who coached the 14s team?
Jordan.
Did she?
Mm-hmm.
Early.
Yeah.
Wow. Fun.
Yep.
Honeyga athlete.
Yes.
Go Indians.
Go Indians. Yep.
What's Eastern's mascot?
Panther.
Aw.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
So cool. I know. I'm excited.
I should have known that. Gosh, I did know that. I'm just losing my mind. So Emma, let's run through this really quick. You have an interesting college commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Then first 2 years, now transition to Eastern, transfer portal. Walk through that for people. Because I think this is, and here's how I want to frame it. We have a lot of listeners who are, parents of kids, a lot of kids, and they're like, oh, I want to go to the next level. I don't care what sport you're playing, volleyball, basketball, baseball, football, whatever. And you think college is the promised land. Oh, I'm going to college. I'm going to play in college. And sometimes at college, it's not just all rainbows and sunshine.
Yeah.
Walk through I want to walk through even before you left here, because you got some news before you left. You committed to Kent State. You were all excited. I remember Emma being really excited.
Yep.
Go.
Well, I feel like my story, as well as everybody else that was in my class, is different because we were being recruited through COVID.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's not a factor anymore.
I remember that COVID thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was masks or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I was being recruited through COVID, so everything was different. I didn't go to Kent State before I committed there. I did like a whole Zoom.
Oh, crazy.
Zoom thing. And so I was able to see campus, but obviously through the phone, it wasn't in person. And so that in itself
Take me around.
was a little different. And, there's this big rush to commit because we weren't playing in tournaments yet and people wanted to see you play. So they didn't want to offer right now. And it was just a big mess, but I was lucky to come out the other side of it and commit. But going into the summer, so the last half of my senior year, I found out that my head coach was let go. And
the man that had recruited you.
The man that had recruited me, same with his staff, but it was hard because I didn't know what that meant for me in terms of whether I would still be going to Kent, whether I would be decommitting, recommitting, because same thing happened with other girls that were on my club team and they ended up decommitting and recommitting and going somewhere else. But I decided that I really wanted to give Kent State a try. It was really good for my major. I'm a speech path major, so I was thinking of more than just volleyball. I was thinking of the school itself and everything. So
You're
I
thinking
went
school and stuff. Weird.
I know, it's crazy.
College for learning.
not many people go for that, But
for what it costs, you would think there'd be learning going on. Sorry, keep going.
but anyway, I did that, and I ended up going and being there in the summer. Scared little freshman all over again, but I played there for 2 years, and coming out of...
Can I pause you really quick?
Uh-huh.
So just if you're thinking of this from, not you, listeners, if listeners are thinking this from your perspective, or like coach, you're going into a program and you're going to play for coaches.
Yep.
Who, I don't want to say didn't want you, but didn't recruit you. So,
yes.
So they didn't really know you the way a coach would get to know an athlete to offer them and say, hey, come play for me.
Yep.
And so that could be, you could see how that could not be good.
Yeah.
Or tough. That could be really hard.
It was a learning curve I would say, on both ends. It was a learning curve because stepping in as a new head coach with a team that was completely recruited by the old coaching staff, I will say set in their ways, like they know how they want to do things and whatever. And then you have someone that expects different. It was definitely a learning curve.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt that. And I had to grow my relationship with the staff in a shorter amount of time to try to get ready for season than I did with the previous staff. Cause obviously I had 6 months before I committed. So I was talking to that previous staff for 6 months. And then coming into it, my first interaction with my new head coach was when I went there in the summer to be dropped off at college for the first time. So
wow,
it was a little scary just because of that. And I know my parents were nervous too, obviously.
Yeah.
My mom dropping me off at school 7 hours away. And then on top of not really knowing what I was walking into. And so I think that's a part of where that learning curve was, where it was trying to figure each other out. And it wasn't just for me, it was for the 4 other freshmen that were coming in with me. Like I feel like on both ends had no expectations and just kind of let what happened dictate those expectations in a way.
Yeah.
And so it was scary, 100% scary. I mean, I was talking to my future teammate and we talked basically every day about whether we were going to, decommit and recommit, or if we were going to stay and whatnot, whatever. And then we both decided to stay, obviously, but it was intimidating. And I think part of the reason why I still went to Kent is obviously I really enjoyed the school. And even though I hadn't stepped foot on campus until a clinic.
Well, I had your major and stuff too, which I think can get not over, I guess, I don't know, sometimes you get, oh, it's so great, I love the school, but then like, you're probably going to college for the schooling part.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could play volleyball forever.
I don't know if my body could go forever, but
you're not wrong there.
But no, I definitely met people that they chose the school before they chose, the major. And I understand that coming out of high school, you shouldn't expect to know what you want with your life.
Yeah.
Like you have to grow up and you have to grow into that. But I think one of the biggest mistakes I've seen being made is choosing a school because of a program, but then them not having what you need on the school side.
Yeah.
And so then you're failing on the school side. And then that in turn, like there's consequences for failing in college. I don't know if people know that or not, but if you don't get good grades and you're on a sports team, there's mandatory hours. You have to go every single week and see your advisor. You have to go in extra to your professor's hours. Like you don't just get to not do good in school and still play. Like that's not how it works. So definitely,
which is awesome for support.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a parent, send a kid to school, well, hey, I know at least on the other end of this, they're going to, end up with a degree and they're going to pass.
I know both my parents are teachers, you know that, but
those educators, man, jeez.
They are very, very, very adamant about me, maintaining those grades. And it's not just for myself, but it's setting myself up for success. And so I know that freshman year going in, a lot of people I was around, obviously new environment, you have a looser schedule, you can skip class here or there, like whatever.
More freedom going on.
But, I just stayed focused and I knew what I was there for. And my goal after I'm done with sports is to have a career. So finding a school that had a really good program for what I wanted to do was the top of my list, and Kent State was that. And so that's why I decided to still go there. Yeah. And I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
And then, you know.
So you went through a couple of years at Kent.
Yep.
Like sports in general, there are ups and downs.
Yep.
And so you decided to enter the portal. Mm-hmm. When? So
I entered the portal after this past fall season. So I entered within the Christmas break time. So it was like end of November to early January. Okay. So
are there rules like when you jump in, when you jump out? I don't know any of this.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird because it depends on your division. Yeah. So for Division 1, the portal actually opened on, I don't even know, end of November, right? Like 27th or something like that. Okay. But I wasn't actually allowed to enter my name into the portal until 3 days after that.
Okay.
And so I don't know why there's that rule or whatever it is, but I actually wasn't allowed to enter until 3 days after, which in hindsight, it didn't affect anything because that window is so open. Like you have plenty of time, even though it's around the holidays, you have plenty of time to go see the schools you want to see, talk to who you want to talk to. But where it gets tricky is when you're entering in the spring and there's that same, 3-day difference and you only have 2 weeks to talk to people. Oh, so the spring is definitely a little bit more scary in terms of like the time frame that you have to talk to people and get out there. But it's possible. I've seen people do it, but. So were you in the portal winter and spring? So as soon as you enter your name in the portal until you're picked up, you're in the portal. Okay. So I was in the portal at the time I was over Christmas break and then didn't get picked up through that window, but I was still able to contact coaches. It's the same, like, we have the dead period here for the younger kids and like that kind of stuff. There's still times where I couldn't talk to coaches, but I was able to reach out to them because my name was already entered in the portal. So gotcha. Yeah. Cause I can't, cause you're basically hitting the reset button on this whole recruiting thing and you're trying to dial back to 2 years ago and like trying to talk to coaches. Who do I like? Talk to the team. Who do I like? What university has my major? And, blah, 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 blah. You're just doing it again because you were so good at it the first time. You liked it so much the first time. Yeah, it's definitely different the second time around. And I know everybody says that, but it's just such a faster process. Like when I got recruited in high school, I had those 6 months to sit and talk and, have coffee dates with the coaches and talk about how my day was and like whatever and yada, 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 where these phone calls that I had, I'm not going to lie, I was sweating bullets my first phone call because I hadn't talked to another coach in 2 years. So I was like, I don't even know what to expect. Like I was pacing the room and Zoom face to face or just on the phone? A lot of it is on the phone unless they ask to FaceTime or do a Zoom or whatever they want to do. Okay. I know a lot of coaches are like that. That's how all the coaches I've interacted with been, but still, I was still nervous. I feel like everybody gets a little bit of anxiety when you're talking to somebody, but it was very business and straight to the point. Like going on the phone call, obviously it was like, tell me about yourself, those kinds of things to get to know me. But as soon as that was over, it was straight to the questions. Why did you enter the portal? Why do you think you'll be good at our program? Why didn't it work at your last program? Like there's some intense questions. And I knew just from talking to people around me, like talking to Eric and talking to my resources, that those were the types of questions that would be coming. And I had some coaches that kind of pushed me outside of my comfort zone, like asking me how I felt mentally coming out of the program I was at, asking me if I felt like I was still on the same level coming out of the program I was at. And like, those are some tough questions, and taking your time. And like, my biggest thing is like, oh, that's a great question. Let me think about that for a second. Like taking your time and thinking through those answers, because you never want to speak ill of anybody. You only want to speak to yourself. And I think that's something that speaks about your character if you're willing to accept accountability for stuff. And just be truthful, but at the same time, like, know that these are your future employers.
Yeah.
And if you drag anybody through the mud, they're probably going to be like, well, who says she won't do that to us? And so, like, being very professional, and it takes practice. Like, my first phone call, I stumbled a lot, but after that, and regrouping and writing things down is a big thing for me, because then I actually remember, like, oh, I know they're going to ask this question. Yeah. Let's write down my answer. So I'm prepared. Yeah. And it was a battle, but I did it. I was able to go through it, go on some visits, unfortunately none of those worked out, but fortunately they didn't work out, because now I'm going to Eastern, and that was the smoothest process I've had throughout this whole thing. I mean, I talked to Sarah for an hour and a half for my first phone call, and she said, let's get you on a visit. I went on a visit the next weekend and committed while I was there. So it's kind of like, when it's right, and you'll know. And I feel like a lot of people second guess themselves because of maybe the name of the school, or, the whatever it has to do. And that's not everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's really not. And finding a place that you feel like is your home away from home, and feeling comfortable and knowing that you're going to enjoy yourself, makes it so much better. Because even if other things aren't going the way they're supposed to be going, like if you're struggling in school, as long as you're with the people and the place that you want to be, it makes it easier. Yeah. So speaking from being 7 hours away from home, and, but
now you're only 4.
Now I'm only 4. Yeah. Yep.
Cause I can't imagine I want to pull back to this, because the transfer portal is so interesting to me, because I could see little babied, entitled college kids, oh, they didn't play me, coach didn't like me, blah, blah, blah. This is stupid. I'm transferring. Yeah. When in essence, they just need to buy their time, work hard, earn their spot. Yep. Persevere, blah, blah, blah. But it's interesting to see, I mean, in so many other sports too. Basketball is crazy. Yeah. Like, you're seeing in 3 years, guys on 3 different teams. And you're just like, what is going on? Like, you just keep, where are you going next year? Like, we're just bebopping around trying to find, So some of that really, really bothers me. However, in your situation where you're getting coached by somebody who didn't recruit you, again, good, bad, and ugly with all situations and stuff like that. Not here to throw shade or anything like that, but it didn't work as well as we wanted it to at Kent. I say you, we all wanted it to work at Kent, and so you're looking for the next thing. So for a coach to ask straight up, hey, why are you doing this? Yep. And for you to give a very honest answer, I think is challenging, but I think if you're going to do something like this, you need to have a really good answer to that question. Oh yeah. Because if you don't, it's just that. And I mean, I'm dead serious that every single coach that I talked to wanted to know the story. Yeah. And it's difficult because you want to speak on your experience, and you want to speak on what happened, and you want to defend yourself in a way and whatnot. But like I said, that accountability piece, where, like, if you're able to turn it on you and say, well, such and such didn't work out, but I did this, and like, I tried to do this, and like, trying to make it work, it speaks on you, and they really appreciate that, rather than, oh, they did this to me, this happened. Like, they don't want to hear that. Yeah. They just want to hear how you're going to be moving forward from that. Yeah. And I mean, I agree with you with the portal. I never thought I was going to be using the portal going to college. I don't think anybody thinks they're going to be using the portal. I think that, if I didn't have to, I wouldn't. Yeah. But I'm grateful that the opportunity was there for me to, find a new experience. And I think, like you said, there's good and bad to the portal. Yeah. And I think going in with the mindset that if you don't play, you're just going to move somewhere else. Like, I don't think people realize, if you transfer once, you can't transfer again without losing a season. Like, if you transfer one time, the next time you transfer, you're sitting out a season. Like, it's not, I did not know that. Okay.
It's not unlimited. You can go wherever you want, where the wind takes you. You can just show up and play. You can't. Like, there's rules to it. And knowing what university you're going into is also a big deal, because knowing if you're going into a team that has 9 seniors and you're a freshman, you know, I know freshmen play, but like having that expectation that I could not play my freshman year.
Yeah. No.
And if you really want to go in and you want to be a starter and you want to play, you have to find a program for you for that, you know? And I don't think people realize that. I think they think they can just go anywhere and like whatever. And like, I'm not saying you can't, because obviously you can earn a spot, but knowing what you're stepping into, if you're stepping into a rebuilding program, if you're stepping into a program that just won the national championship, like there's different levels, and knowing where you might fit in could potentially help you in the terms of like transferring. Because if you go into a program and you're like, I want to start, I want to be this great player, like I want to start my freshman year, find a program where you can do that, you know, and then set your expectations to that. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, I think that's right on. I was talking to Matt DePaul a couple weeks ago, and he was just talking about a few of the different athletes in the gym and stuff like that. And there are some kids that, like, you know, they kind of have to make that decision. Do they want to be a big fish in a small pond and like be the man and like just, you know, have the whole offense and defense run around them and, you know, they're the sun? Or, you know, do they want to, you know, level up, go into one of those programs where, you know, it might be above them a little bit, and they might have to, you know, work their way into it. And maybe they don't play. Maybe they go there and maybe 4 years go by and they don't really see the court a whole lot. And not saying one is better than the other. Like, both can be very rewarding experiences, you know, for kids, and that'd be great. But it's a decision that you have to make. Yeah. And I mean, that was one of the biggest things for me the first time around when I was getting recruited. I'm like, what program can I go into that I know I can earn my spot? Like, I know that I can earn a place on the floor. And that was one of the biggest things that I was looking at when I was talking to all these different colleges. And that's what I decided I wanted for myself. And I've never shied away from working hard. I've never shied away from, you know, you have not
doing my thing. I mean, I've always had to fight for a spot. I've never been in the spotlight or whatever. I've kind of been an underdog, not only in volleyball, but I mean, in softball growing up too, just with everything. And so earning my place was not scary to me. So that's why I wasn't afraid to step into a situation where I knew that was a probability. So, but again, that's what I decided for myself, and not everybody wants that. And so, like I said, finding a program that fits your needs, fits what you want in your career, because it's only 4 years. It's only 4 or 5 if you redshirt now. Like, it goes fast. Like, I cannot believe I'm 20 years old. Like, I still don't.
I remember a little 14-year-old Emma.
I turned 21 this year, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, it goes by so unbelievably fast. And especially when your schedule is jam-packed, like the college life, athlete life, there's no breaks. You know, there's breaks, but there's no breaks. And so everything just kind of blends together.
Walk through that. Because I don't think people know. I want to play in college. I want to play in college. I want to play in college. And then you get to college, you're like, oh God. I don't know if I want to play in college anymore. And I don't think this is unique to specifically volleyball. I think all high level, you know, collegiate sports that are competitive, I don't care what you are, like your life revolves around this sport. Talk about just kind of the schedule, what you guys do, what you've done.
You know, freshman year,
you probably get to sleep in till like 9:30, 10 o'clock, you know, wake up, have your coffee. Sorry. You go.
So coming in the summer, we had a block where we were there for summer 1 and not summer 2. So summer 1 is June 8th to July 14th. And so I was there in the middle of the summer. You know, I graduated. When was my graduation? It was like May 25th. I graduated, and then I had to be there on June 7th. So
it's a nice 2 weeks there. You know,
it was a turnaround. And so that in itself, like knowing that you're going to be giving up your summer. You're going to be giving up your summer. Like you have a choice of whether you want to be there or not, because technically it's not mandatory, but the experience and being able to be there with the girls without the coaches, because the coaches aren't allowed to be coaching during the summer, being able to be there and build those friendships and, build that relationship with your strength coaches and all that stuff, like, it's very important. So I do not recommend not going, even though it's not mandatory. Like, I would go just because it prepares you for everything else. And after that, I went home for a couple weeks in July, and then I was back. I think I was back like August 5th to move in. And so I was back August, a couple of days just to get settled. And by the way, school has not started yet. Everybody else moves in. I think they moved in like August 16th or 18th or something like that.
So you're a couple weeks ahead.
We were there for 2 weeks basically on our own with other sports that were obviously fall sports that were there for their preseasons. But I mean, I lived alone in my dorm for 2 weeks. Literally nobody else was on my floor. Maybe my RA the last couple of days, but like, it's kind of intense, and with preseason in itself, like, I know everyone says, oh, you're a preseason. Yeah, they're right. It's hard. It's tough. Like, you're doing 3-a-days. I've done a couple 4-a-days in my past. Like, it's conditioning, it's training, it's practice, and it's everything to do with preparing yourself for the season. And it's intense. Like, you have to be very strong mentally in order to get through that. Because, I mean, my freshman year, we had a lot of super seniors and seniors on our team. And so obviously they're older bodies. And so they were feeling the effects of it more than we were. And so we felt inclined to be like, we're not sore. We're not sore. We're not sore, because we were trying to, pick up some of that. And it's rough. Yeah. Like, your hardest workout you've ever done times, 8, because you're doing it so much. But preseason lasts about 2 weeks, depending on how long you go. And it's different at every single program. But I mean, we practiced twice a day during those whole 2 weeks. And then there was like a 5-day span within there that we practiced 3 times a day. So it's not the entire 2 weeks that you're doing 3 days, but it is for a good amount of time.
When you say 2 or 3 days, is that straight volleyball, or are we counting strength and conditioning stuff?
So strength and conditioning stuff. So what we would do is at 6 a.m. in the morning, we're waking up and...
Wait, you start at 6?
We start at 6.
Start
so
at
really,
6. Waking up.
really, you got to wake up at like 5. I think I was up by 5:15. My dorm was 2 minutes from where we played. So I could wake up a little bit later compared to my teammates who lived 10 minutes or people who lived off campus. So I had a little bit of grace in that, but being to the gym by, at least 5:30 and getting dressed and being down there by 5:45, having everything set up, being warmed up completely. Like, you got to wake up early. And then, that was just for me. People who had to go to treatment, they had to be up by 4 and go to treatment by 4:30 in order to be done and on the court. So thankfully...
So your athletic trainers are up that early?
Oh, yeah.
Doing holy buckets.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. They're up that early. And then depending on how many teams they have, they're there until 9 o'clock at night for the other teams. So, like, it's a long day. Yeah. And we would go from 6 to 7:30. We would do conditioning. That was basically all that was conditioning. And I thought I was conditioned going in and, found out that I really wasn't. It's hard, it's tough, but I find some sort of satisfaction when I know that I'm pushing my body hard. And so for me, it was difficult in the moment. I probably threw up a couple of times, but that's just the reality of it. Like, it's pushing your body then, so you're able to push your body in the games that matter, the games that go to 5 sets, and the games that determine whether you're going into a postseason or not. Like, that's what it's meant for. And so we did that. We would go back. Well, I would go back to my dorm. Everyone else would just sleep in the locker room. And we would try to...
It's nice being close.
I was trying to nap as much as I could. I think I napped in between every single practice. So I would nap for like 45 minutes and then have to get up, go put on a new clean pair of spandex, all the work up, and then have to go for an hour. And it was like position training essentially. Wow. And so we would do position training for an hour. Okay. Go back to my dorm afterwards, come back, whole new get up, and then we would practice for 3 hours. So, and you'd do that every single day. So it's tough. And if you're not prepared for it coming in, like if you do not do the workouts that they give you your summer going into your freshman year, you're going to get your butt kicked. Yeah. Like that's just the reality of it. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me. I mean, I've been in here since COVID doing stuff and working extra. And I thought that was so important for me because it taught me what to expect. Yeah. And it showed me how to work hard and how to push myself to be better. And I think if you come in without that mindset or come in not prepared, you're going to suffer a little bit. Yeah. And I mean, that's just the reality of it, unfortunately. But you also have to want that for yourself. Like you have to want to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and to get out of bed and to go do that, to be better at your sport or to do well and be successful. So
sorry, I didn't want to cough directly into the mic.
That was preseason. Regular season, it's not as intense, but you are in 20-hour weeks. So you have 20 hours of volleyball every single week. And that does include matches. So it's not all practices. And then you have one required day off every single week. So
is there strength training into the 20? Does that count as 20 or is that separate?
Yep, that counts as 20. Okay, gotcha. So we would do, while we were in season playing games, we would do Monday, Wednesday lift. And that would be for like an hour, 45 minutes, depending on whatever we did. And then we would go in, but we would have a 3-hour practice every day. And now whether we use that full 3 hours or not, that was just kind of at the discretion of the coaches or how well we did that day, whatever. But majority of the time we went the full 3 hours. Yeah. And so it's the block that we had was later in the day. So we went from like 4 to 7. So we would lift 3 to 4, then go 4 to 7. So you have to work that around your class schedule and work that around, managing your homework. And my freshman year, we had 6 hours of required study time. So I would have to go, we call it the Jenkins, and I would have to go to the Jenkins for 6 hours every single week around traveling, around practice, around classes, and like figuring that out. It's a lot. And
this is keep you accountable. Oh, yeah. Make sure that you're studying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm studying, coach.
Yeah. It's really important because, I mean, I would like to say that I do well academically, and I've never really had a problem with getting my stuff done and, getting good grades and that kind of things.
You passed.
I did.
Had a girl.
I did. Good. But it's different because the curriculum it's looser, but also stricter at the same time, because looser in the sense of, I only have this class 2 times a week. Yeah. But stricter in the fact like, I have to read 100 pages of a textbook in between my Tuesday and my Thursday class. Like, and if you're not keeping up and you're not doing those things, it gets hard. And then imagine not doing well in school, having to go seek out your professor and go to their required, hours, whatever, on top of having your 6 hours practices and traveling. Like, there's a lot to figure out, and it was difficult. I had a better experience than other people just on the side of like academically I was doing fine. And so my second semester in my freshman year, I was relieved of my, study hours, and I didn't have to do them anymore because I had all A's and whatnot. But
you show off. Jeez.
I guess so. But a lot of the other girls still had study hours, and in the spring it's a lot easier because the schedule's looser, but it's hard. It's tough. And so, I mean, we were practicing Monday through Thursday. Sometimes we would travel on Thursdays, and then, be back on Saturday night and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so Sundays were typically our days off unless we had like a mid-game week or whatever and played on a Wednesday or something like that. But I mean, you're going from Monday to Saturday, having all these things to juggle. And even though Sunday's your day off,
Not a day off.
no, you still have required treatment.
Yeah.
And like, for us, it was, if you step foot on the court, you had to go to treatment. And so it's a lot to manage.
What are we talking when you say treatment? What are we talking here?
So like we would go in and you could norm attack, you could go in and we would have these they're like ice cup things.
Mm-hmm.
Those were my favorite. I love those.
And
you rub it wherever
Mm-hmm.
you're sore. I know they got really big into like needling.
Mm.
And so some people would needle and some people would do stim and some people would do the ultrasound. Like we are very blessed with all the things that we were able to do. And so it just kind of depended on what our trainer said that she wanted you to do. So like if you're sore in a specific spot, obviously you're going to be working that spot. And so she'll give you stuff to do. But other than that, you kind of just had free reign to, if you wanted to sit there in the Normatex for 20 minutes, you can just do that. Like it wasn't very strict or anything, but we would have to go in and there'd be an hour time frame where you would have to go in. And typically it was at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And so you're getting back at midnight, 2 a.m. from traveling. And then you have to go up and be up at 9. And if you're not within there, like if you were supposed to be at treatment and you didn't go to treatment, obviously there's consequences for that. Like, it's very much other people holding you accountable, but yourself holding yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you cannot let yourself slip up because everybody else that we call them NARPs.
Yes.
I don't know if people know that, but
I was an ARP.
We call them
Outside
NARPs,
of the intramural sports, which I dominated.
but these NARPs, in a sense, they're able to not do well their freshman year with classes because there's nothing writing on it. Like, they're paying money to be there, but there's nothing writing on them getting all C's or having a low GPA or whatever. For us, there was a lot writing on it because, you get awards for your team GPA. Mm-hmm. You get awards for your individual GPA. Like, I know we have certain events where it's like high scholar events and you have to have a certain GPA to get invited, and it's like dinners and whatever. And like, there's all these special things. And if you're not meeting it, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
So, but fall is definitely the hardest part of the year in terms of schedule management.
Yeah.
In terms of, volleyball and lift, spring is the hardest time of the year for me, only because we drop down into 8-hour weeks because we're in off season. Okay. And so those 8 hours are mostly consisted of lifting and conditioning. So you're lifting and conditioning. I think my roommate was up at like 5:45 every day to be there at 6:30 or 7, something like that, whatever it is. And so it was early in the morning every single day. And it's not just normal lifts. Like we used to call it dead legs month in January because it's the furthest point from season. So you can hammer it and you can go hard. And so, that's the strongest I've ever felt. I did 5 pull-ups and I was like, who am I?
Bam.
Who am I?
Look at that.
But you just grow so much. And the older girls kept joking with us saying that we would need new pairs of pants after spring season because we just, physically grew so much. Yeah. And it's not only lifting that you're pushing yourself hard, it's conditioning as well. And, you have conditioning tests that if you are not working for, you will not pass. Yeah. Like, I know every school is different with their conditioning tests and it's different levels, but it's all in the same. Yeah. Like it's all, you're running until the timer stops.
It's hard.
Like it's hard. And it was something that I struggle with. I'm not a great runner. Like
what?
Never claimed to be a great runner.
No Hananiga track and field back in the day.
Oh, definitely not. No. But I'm not a great runner. Yeah. And I had to really push myself in order to pass my conditioning test. And the feeling I got after I passed my conditioning test, I think I started crying. I honestly think I did. I think I started crying after I ran out to the garbage can and thought I was going to throw up. Yeah. I came back in and then I think I started crying. Yeah. But it's very mental. And a lot of the things that you're asked to do, and it's the same thing here. Like with Matt, when I work out with Matt, like I'm never asked to do something physically that they know I can't do.
Yeah.
I'm just asked to push myself to do stuff outside my comfort zone that they know I can't achieve. And so it's hard, but they're not going to kill you. Like, you may feel like they're killing you in the moment, but they're not actually killing you. They're just making you better and they're making you stronger. And I mean, my vertical grew like 3 or 4 inches in the spring. Like, it's intense, but it does the job. And coming out of the spring, after my first spring, going into my next preseason, I felt so much more prepared. Like, I was stronger, healthier. I was able to move better. Like, and using that and going into that hard preseason, because I pushed myself, it made it easier for me. And I didn't feel like death all the time. And, you know, and I was more prepared. And that also comes along with making sure that even when you're not in the gym, you're doing your workouts. Like, if you know, come home and you're home for a month in the summer, if you don't work out in that month, it's very easy to lose everything you had just gained in that spring. So again, holding yourself accountable and doing those things and whatever. But yeah, spring is hard, man. Yeah, it was hard.
So that's the part of the story that I'm most jealous of. Because I think we've gotten very good at working with athletes in season, but it's frustrating because on our end, in the way of, hey, we're trying to drive up everyone's vertical. We want to make everyone faster. We want to make everyone stronger. And to have like, hey, we get a good couple weeks of training. Oh, but then we got to back off because there's this big tournament, you know, and then kids are dead after the tournament. So we can't kill them because they just played 9 games in 3 days. And, you know, now we have to, and then we had to try to build it back up. But then there's this tournament, this break or this, and it's there's just a lot of like up, down, up, down, up, down. And I love the spring. I am jealous of the spring. I think that's fantastic. When you don't focus about, or when you really don't, not that you're not focusing on volleyball, but when you're really focused on the strength training, oh my gosh, I don't say it's easy at that point, but it's so easy at that point. Hey, here's the program. We're just going to execute 3, 2, 1, go, you know, and then bring your A game, bring your effort, and we're going to get better. I absolutely love that.
I mean, that was the game changer for me. Like, between when we stopped for COVID and then when we started again, when I was in here with you every day out on the soccer field that isn't here anymore. But, you know, being here and putting in effort and not just going through the motions, it's really easy to go through the motions. It's really easy because, oh, you know, I've done this before. I have practice later, like whatever. I don't want to be sore. It's so easy to go through the motions. But as soon as you stop doing that, as soon as you really appreciate every single thing that you do and realize that it's going to make you better, and the stronger you are, the better athlete you're going to be, like, that was a game changer for me. I mean, I know I came in extra. Not everybody can come in extra and work out extra, but taking advantage of the time that you actually have and using that to your advantage, and like not just deadlifting 100 pounds when you know you can deadlift, you know, 80 more pounds than that, like really, really, really pushing yourself. Because if you think about it, especially the girls here, they're only in here they only lift 3 days a week. So that's only 3 days. And like, even if you're doing recovery stuff after a tournament, like if you're not putting your all into the recovery stuff, you're not going to feel better. That is one thing I learned just through everything, is like, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not doing what you need to do, it doesn't help anything. And like, in hindsight, if you're working hard in lift and you're doing really good in lift and pushing yourself in lift, you won't be as sore after a long tournament. You won't be as sore.
Weird.
Pushing yourself, you know? So
when did this light switch go on for you?
I think, honestly,
because you were 14 at one point, and let's be clear, 14. there wasn't that. And now you're 30. You're almost. You're basically retired.
30.
You're basically middle-aged, to them. So this is 20. So these last 6 years, when did that light switch flick for you? Because what was interesting, I'm just thinking of last night.
Mm-hmm.
We had kids who, let's see, what are they? They're 16s. I don't want to say they're sophomores. Let's be clear. They might have had times throughout this last year where they have driven me crazy.
Yeah.
And finally yesterday, they're yelling at me from across the, Adam, how much is this? What is this weight? Da, da, da. And I'm like, I don't know, guys, do math. Like you all go to college. You all go to college. You all go to high school. You could do math. Figure that out. Da, da. We just deadlifted 270, for reps, sets of 2, sets of 4. Da, da, da. I'm like, holy cow. You dial back to 4 months ago, they weren't doing any of that. Mm-hmm. They didn't care. They didn't want to be everything that you said there. They didn't want to be sore. They did. Mm-hmm. And now they're excited about it. And I'm thrilled. Now we only have 3 more weeks of the season.
Yeah.
But, I'm glad it came at some point because obviously this should, come in next year and stuff like that. So obviously I think there's a maturity thing, but as you're talking there, I'm just thinking of this group last night going, oh yeah, that's totally them. And I feel like over the last month or so, this light switch has gone on and I don't know why, but I think it's awesome. When did your light switch go on? And we're like, hey, this strength thing, this is an important thing.
I'm going to be real after my injury.
Oh yeah.
Like for people that don't know,
the most amazing injury anybody's ever endured.
I might have dislocated my subtalar joint and my ankle was sideways and it was interesting.
Can you describe it? Because every time I go to describe it to people, I know I don't do it right. Okay. So you're playing some volleyball.
So
it's a Tuesday night.
It's a Tuesday night. I have Wing King coaching me.
Who else would you rather have coaching you?
We're doing some drills.
No way.
We're doing some drills that require me hitting out of system. And at that point, I was just middle. I hated out of system. And I was frustrated. I think we were all tension was a little high. And
it wasn't going well, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I had kind of my mental blockers on.
Okay.
And so I wasn't really listening to anybody around me because I was so ticked off. But all of a sudden I hear ball, ball, ball while I'm going and jumping to hit a ball on the outside. And I don't even know.
Which is signaling that, hey, there is a ball rolling on your court.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Exactly.
Don't land on the ball.
So I did this little half jump, whatever. I didn't see my feet. I was focused on the ball above me, but all I know is I landed and I rolled underneath the net and I was looking at my teammates and they all were like, and I was like, what are you looking at? Like, what are you looking at? I looked down and my ankle, it was my left ankle, was completely like this. I don't know. It's completely like that.
Sideways.
And it
wasn't going straight like feet go. Feet go straight.
No.
Yours was going out, correct?
In.
It was going in.
Mm-hmm.
In foot.
Oh, yeah. In foot. And then I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I looked at Ireland Henry and I was like, I broke my foot. I didn't break my foot, thankfully. I mean,
you were 15 years old, 16 years old, 15, 16,
16.
Okay.
And so that happened and went to the hospital, that whole shebang, and came back the next practice with a soft cast on my foot on my scooter, doing my thing. And it was 2 months that I was out before I came back. And when I came back, I was scared. Obviously, you have that mental block after you get an injury. And I was trying to push past that, but just trying to push past it, do my best, but still had that little bit of hesitation. And then, had some conversations with some people talking about if I didn't live up to the standard that I was going to be moved. And I mean, that's the reality of the situation. And I was like, okay, guess I'm kicking my butt into gear. And I mean, I might have rushed my recovery just a teensy bit, but I didn't regret it. I came back stronger than what I was. And that was when COVID hit, go figure. So after I made my comeback, we're off for 3 months and not doing anything. And then I was like, I have to do something. I need to be better. I have to do something. And that's when the switch flipped for me, was realizing I want to be better than what I was. I want to be a higher level athlete. I want to do this and do that because I don't want anyone to ever doubt me ever again. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I flipped it, and I was coming in extra, and we were doing our thing. And I mean, the growth that I had between then and the next club season, I mean, it was ridiculous. Like, I just felt so much more agile on the court, and like I felt stronger. I felt like I was hitting the ball harder, jumping higher, like, and that feeling gave me such satisfaction. I was like, wow, I put in the effort and I put in the work and I did that. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It was motivating for me. I have a lot of internal motivation. Like,
you are. Yes.
I would say so. Doing that and feeling the effects of that just pushed me even more. I was like, oh, I'm going to keep doing this. Of course I'm going to keep doing this because it feels good to deadlift 270 pounds and know that I'm strong enough to do that and know that that's translating into volleyball. And like, I don't know. It just is a sense of pride. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So completely.
I think that's when it flipped for me. And obviously not everybody's going to have their ankle sideways to have that, you know, epiphany that they need to do more. But, you know, knowing when you feel good, like, again, I can't deadlift 270 pounds. I can't do that. But they were out there doing that. Like, good for you. Yeah. Like, build off of that. Know that now when this next season starts or whenever they start lifting again, you want to hold that. Yeah. You don't want to let that go because it's very easy to slip back into that. Oh, I'll just go through the motions, whatever. No, hold it, because as long as you're working hard and you're holding to that, you're going to be a better volleyball player and you're going to be a better athlete. I mean, whatever sport you play, you're going to be better. So, I mean, I would say that's when that flipped for me.
So that's interesting. Because I think we see a lot of kids who they get away with it until they can't get away with it anymore. And for a lot of people, that is the injury thing. And we see kids who endure an injury, they'll roll an ankle and they've never had an injury in their life. And they freak out because they've never, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad. And it's bruised and it's swelling. And you see them see their ankle and watch it get huge. And they start to freak, oh my gosh, my ankle's going to explode. Calm down, Sally. You're fine. You know, we'll get some ice on the sucker. We'll get you, to, back in the day, we used to walk it off. So calm down. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. Emma, your foot's going sideways. Just walk it off.
I should have gotten up. Should have continued.
What are you doing? Says Wayne. Get your butt going. We got a drill to run here. But like, I do think that's a kind of a big come to Jesus moment for a lot of athletes where it's, you know, for me personally, it was getting benched. It was, I played and then I didn't play. Why didn't I play? I wasn't as good as people above me. So what did I do? I worked and got after it and got to myself to be a very average athlete. With sub-average genetics. So, you know, it just kind of balanced it out there. But like, I think there's that, there has to be some type of adversity that somebody has to face. And really they go one of two ways. They steer into it and they're like, hey, let's get some, or they run away from it. Be like, oh, it's too hard. I don't like it anymore. You know, oh, it's not for me. Oh yeah, I'm done. That's the chapter, which is fine. I'm not going to tell people what to do, whatever it is. But I think that's why I love the strength training thing so much, though, is that within the weight room, like everything is what it is. Like on the volleyball court, you could just have a great day, and the other team could just have a crappy day, and all of a sudden you're blocking everything. Yep. You know, maybe you're jumping high, maybe they're just hitting into your hands. Who knows? You know, but you're feeling amazing, and you know your stat line's amazing. But you walk into the weight room, and 270 is 270. No matter, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like the weight is the weight, and some days it will feel light, and some days it won't feel light. Yeah. And you know, you just have to go with it. And then some days you'll digress because, you know, something will happen, you know, maybe you do get bad sleep or maybe you do get injured. Like you could do all the lifting in the world and injuries still happen. Like we can't bomb-proof people, bulletproof people. Would love to be great, make it injury resistant, but not like, you know, I mean, you're in really good shape right now. Something could happen. You play a very aggressive sport, you know, and it's very powerful and a lot of, especially when you're tall and you jump 300 times of practice and stuff like, oh, there's a lot going on. Sorry, that was my soapbox. I find it so interesting though, the kids that end up taking that strength conditioning thing seriously and how just like, I feel like I've had, sorry, I'm going two different ways now. Start a thought, stopped a thought, bringing it back. When college coaches walk in, I just love having conversations with them about different things. And this is more recently. I'm going to say more this year. I've had numerous coaches tell me that, because they'll ask me once I tell them I'm the strength coach, they're like, "Oh, Adam, I thought you coached middles. You're so tall." I'm not, coach. I'm sorry, but like they'll ask how so and so athlete works in the weight room, and I think they see that correlation where if they bust their butt, where nobody's watching. Oh yeah, when there isn't a crowd, when their parents aren't there. Boyfriend's not there, fans aren't there. High school's not watching, when they're in here in the, in the fence, are they working? Are they getting after it? Because if they are, 2, 3, 4 years from now, that's going to turn into a really good athlete. Exactly. Yeah. And if they're not, it's either a maturity thing or 2, 3, 4 years from now, that athlete's not playing the sport. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie. When I was 14 years old, coming to Oak, it was best time of your life. It was hard for me to be like, intentional. Yeah. Because I was 14. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. I'm looking up to all these 18-year-olds, and doing that thing. And I think, having one consistent thing, like what you said with volleyball, you have good days and bad days. Every sport, you have good days and bad days. It's just how the coin falls, whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you're consistent with at least one thing in your day and you're consistent in the weight room, you become more consistent in other things. Mm-hmm. And so I think as I got older and as I was coming up through this club, I realized that all these girls after me are going to be looking at me to set an example, as I looked at the older girls when I was younger. Yeah. And so I don't know. I think people don't think that. People don't think others are watching them. People don't think, oh, that 13-year-old doesn't care what I do. They don't care. They do. They do. They really, really do. And I mean, I played last night with Eric's team. I played with the 16-year-olds. Okay. And half that team I coached at Volley Kids. And I'm like, well, first of all, you guys are making me feel old. Second of all, like, they all know who I was and they were all excited to play with me because of the example that I was setting and how I was presenting myself while I was here, how I was presenting myself as a coach to them, like all that stuff. And so you make a mark, you leave a lasting impression, even if you don't think you do. Yeah. You do. Like, and it could be good, could be bad. It could go both ways. Yeah. And I prefer to go towards the good, but that's just that mindset. Like you got to be in the right mindset. And in regards to coaches in the weight room, it's important to them. Like that's where you become the type of athlete that can have that endurance, that can push through those hard matches because you're pushing yourself in the weight room. And if you're busting your butt in the weight room, they see that. Yeah. Like coaches talk. There's no excessively. Coaches talk excessively. Everything kind of gets said. If one thing's noticed, like, oh, for example, Emma was laughing in the weight room today. She wasn't taking it seriously. Go straight to my coach. Yeah. Like, it's not, there's a level of communication where they know what's happening, even if you're not in their presence. Yeah. Yeah. And so if I'm busting my butt in the weight room and my strength coach goes to my coach and says, Emma's been working her tail off. Like she's been improving. She's been doing this. Like she's working hard. That works for me and that works in my favor. Like now my coach knows that. And then now going into practice, maybe a spot opens up. And I'm not saying it's just because of the weight room, but like if they see that you're working hard, you're going to get more opportunities. Yeah, absolutely. And there's people that even in college, there's people that go through the motions. Like, I mean, it's just how it is. You can't control everybody. Yeah. You can't encourage everybody to work their hardest, but you could see a clear difference between the people that were putting in the effort and putting in the work and people who are just going through the motions. Yeah. And so, I mean, same thing here. Like if
I'm just going through the motions here and somebody comes up and says, Adam, what do you think about so-and-so? And you're like, they're a pain in my butt.
Yeah.
And people don't lie to each other. Like in this world, like people tell the truth. It's grown up adult world, grown ups talking to grown ups. Like there's no little whatever. And so it comes around, good or bad. It comes around and people will find out, and I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I'm just saying that like, it's a reality.
I don't think you can get away with it in this day and age of just playing your sport and hoping that you're going to, achieve high level greatness, unless you have Michael Jordan genetics, which
I wish
I don't personally have. But like, I think if you don't work outside of that sport, I don't care what, and it's everything now. It's how you eat, it's how you sleep, it's how you handle stress, it's how you recover. It's the whole gamut of stuff. If you're really going to, push to, get to that next level and just push to be the best that you can possibly be. And I think that's my biggest thing with this whole thing, because sadly we've had kids go off to college and it has not worked out well for them. And they've, some have persevered like you have. And now I do want to talk about Eastern at some point here. Like you're in a fantastic position here.
I am. Yeah.
And in talking to, Caitlin and, Sylvia being there and stuff like that, like absolutely perfect. But like some people do what you did. And then some people just like, oh, I guess this chapter of my life is done, which is fine. That can be fine. Yeah. Whatever. There are bigger things.
Yeah.
But if you can persevere and continue to work hard, and I just think that, I don't know, teaches you so much about yourself it helps to, later in life with all the stresses and all the hardships that one will endure and stuff like that. So,
yeah. And I mean, I've been around a ton of people that have either stopped playing, like not just volleyball, like other sports, like the softball team and like that kind of thing. And people have stopped playing, and it's a hard decision. I mean, I thought my decision to stop playing softball in high school was hard. Like stopping and not playing a collegiate sport is really difficult. And I think that was part of the reason why I was still going in the spring, even though I hadn't found my home yet. Yeah. And I just could not imagine sitting around and not playing a sport. Like I could not imagine not getting up every single day and playing a sport. And for some people, that's just not for them. And that's totally fine. It's just as things grow and as things are getting more competitive, I mean, look at the sports world with like club and travel and like all this stuff. It's so much more popular now than it ever was. Like I was playing travel softball when I was like 9 years old. Like that's a little excessive, but that's just the reality of it. And, it's very easy to get burnt out in high school and especially in college, because you're spending so much time with people and knowing what you want for yourself, because if you're there for the wrong reasons, it's selfish in a way. Yeah. If you're there just because, well, say you're on scholarship or something like that, but you aren't pushing yourself, you aren't enjoying yourself, you're telling yourself you want to be done, like, it's not worth it. Yeah. Like, could potentially be taking away an opportunity from another person. Yeah. And I've seen that. And I've seen people who, like one of my friends, she's a pilot, wants to be a pilot. She's in aviation, and her flight hours are awful. Like, the weather at Kent was crazy for like a month, and she was not able to fly for a month. And so that pushes her back, and she needs to get all these certain hours before she takes next classes and whatever. And so that was a lot for her to be able to manage that. And so when we were traveling every weekend and gone for 3 or 4 days, that's 3 or 4 days she could have been flying. And so that's the reason why she chose to step away. And so it's like, there's different levels to it, but a part of it is recognizing when it's time to, because I've definitely played with people that did not want to be there. Yeah. And I'm like, then why are you still here? Yeah. And for me, going through this spring, not getting picked up and not having a home and not knowing what the heck was going on with my life, it was hard. Yeah. I mean,
did you consider that?
I did.
Hanging it up?
I did. And I think I considered it because I felt like there was no hope that I was going to go somewhere. Yeah. And I feel like I felt so defeated after going through the portal in the winter and not finding a place, but talking to these schools and going on visits and not finding a home. And I was like,
I remember texting you and like, okay, Emma didn't respond. I'll just let her be.
it was hard. It was a hard spot, and I knew.
And then months later, you come back.
months later, I'm going to Eastern. It was a hard spot to be in, and I think the only reason I was considering it is because I felt like I lost hope that it was going to happen for me. I was still working out. I was still doing my thing, still staying in shape, and still being hopeful and like biting at every single thing that came my way. And when Eastern came along, I was like, this could not be a more perfect place for me. And like I said, it was that feeling. I'm like, this place is going to be my home. Like, I'm going to love it here. I'm going to love the people here. I'm going to love the staff. I'm going to love everything about it. And so, you know, it's a blessing that I was given that opportunity, and I'm grateful every single day that, you know, I was put in motion for that by certain people and whatnot, but it was hard. You know, there's definitely that ounce of me that thought it was going to be over, but I still wanted it.
Yeah.
I still wanted to be in a gym. I still wanted to play my sport. I still wanted to compete and all that stuff. So I think one way or another, I mean, I even tried out for the stupid softball team, for crying out loud.
Did you?
Oh,
At
yeah.
Kent?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So
how did that go?
They wanted me to come back in the fall.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
to pitch?
Yeah. I mean, like, anything. I wanted to do anything to play a sport, be competitive. So, but that's because I still have that drive in me. Some people don't have that, and that's completely okay. Like, there's no pressure. And I know, like you said, a lot of people expect college to be this end all be all, and then it's all sunshine and roses and whatnot. It's not a lot of the time. And that's not in the sense of like the people. It's just in the sense of like the work you have to put in. Yeah. And if you realize that's not for you, don't be afraid to step away. Like, do what you have to do for you. So, yeah. Fun. Emma, this podcast went much longer than I thought it would. Oh, geez. No, you're fine. We're like Joe Rogan. You just keep going, which is fantastic. I'm thrilled for you that, and we're really just going off everything that you just said there, that, you know, you went into a situation, things changed on you. You did everything in your power that you thought in which to push through. Still wasn't what you wanted it to be. Okay. Reevaluated things, you know, put yourself out there again, which is hard. So hard. A lot of kids would make the decision, hey, I'm going to be done. I'm going to hang it up. I'm just going to be a NARP and be cool with it, you know, play some intramural sports. But you didn't, cause that's hard. Oh my gosh. Recruiting, number one, is really, really hard. And then you do it twice. Yeah. And now it's, you know, you're hitting the reset button, and now you found a spot. You know, we're Eastern, made it to the tournament last year. You know, we have 2 other VC United kids, you know, on that team. Yep. Sharky's not there anymore. I think she graduated. She commented on my Instagram post. Did she? She was like, there's no way. And I was like, I miss you. Yeah, she was fantastic. I mean, but you know, so we sent a good chunk of kids there that have really enjoyed it. I had a conversation the other day, a couple weeks ago, with the guy from Vert, because Eastern uses I'm trying to get ideas of how we could possibly utilize something like that, just so we don't, you know, overdo the kids, you know, or and I know the high school is different than the college thing, but Eastern uses it. And not only do they use it, but they give him full reign in which to do the planning, do the programming in the way of, hey, our middles during this chunk of the season are going to jump this much during practice, you know, and this much in game. And if they tick up too much, hey, we're going to bring them back down to here and and they did a fantastic job, because at the end of the season, when some teams are like exhausted, they were on their way up. Yep. And so to know, you know, that and your hard work ethic and injury background and stuff like that, and you're not a small athlete, so like jumping, landing, it's easy to overdo it, especially as a middle. Holy cow, that's all you do. You just run a triangle and jump and land and jump and land and jump and land. Which is funny, because then the liberos are just in the back, just pass. They make the tallest athletes on the court do the most work, you know, and then the little guys in the back, just whatever, pass.
No offense, liberos. You're fantastic. But like, I'm excited for you because I feel like it's the absolute perfect storm for, you, and you're a competitive person. Mm-hmm. It's a competitive,
environment. Yeah.
So I'm excited for you.
I'm excited too. And I mean,
shout out to Eastern.
Shout out to Eastern. And for those people that are in college, or like people that are graduating now and going to college, or girls that are going to go play in college, like, know that VC has your back. Like, they don't leave you out high and dry once you graduate. They don't. And I mean, I felt that Eric was amazing. He was the person that I talked to, the person that helped me get through everything. Like, he was in my pocket and he helped me so much. And I'm so extremely grateful to him, because I don't think I would be here without his help. And so know that even though you're not here, you're still able to come and, send a text to somebody and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What can I do? And they'll help you out. So it's not once you leave, you're gone. No, you can still come back and work out and, be around yourself and be around Eric and them and whatever, but they got your back.
Yeah. And that's a big deal too. Not just like, hey, you graduated, you're done. Bye-bye. But to come back and, train on a Tuesday night and Thursday night and, and do that thing, or, hey, I need some help within this transfer thing. Cause it turns out this volleyball community knows each other very well. Yeah. And somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. You need a middle. I got a middle, and see how that goes. So that's, huge shout out to Eric and VC United for that.
For real. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Emma, thank you.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Sorry I talked so much.
No, you're fine. I know you got a big day. You got things going on today.
Oh boy.
You got travels planned?
I do.
You got to work out here?
I got to work out.
We can't short the workout.
What time is it?
Well, I'm just saying, after the whole podcast here, we just...
It's okay.
Emma's going to go knock out this fantastic workout Matt has planned for her.
Speedy.
And get after it. There we go. I know you're a massive social media influencer, but if people did want to get online and follow you and your new journey to Eastern here, where do they go?
Oh boy, I don't even know if I know my Instagram handle. I think it's @Emma Schroeder _ I think that's what it
starts with an underscore,
like the little line down there.
Yep.
And then it's Emma Schroeder, all one, and then _
Gotcha.
I think that's what it is.
Were there already other Emma Schroeders taken? That's why you had to add the underscores?
Well, it's actually Emma Schroeder with a bunch of R's, because apparently the normal one was taken already.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but...
So underscore, Emma Schroeder, lots of R's.
Lots of R's.
Underscore.
Yep.
You'll find it. It'll pop up at some point.
Yeah, it will.
There you go. Awesome. Emma, thank you so much.
Of course.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Go Panthers.
Go Panthers.
Awesome. Listeners, thanks for listening. We will check you on the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for listening to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. Don't forget to check us out on the social @Oak Performance and online at www.oakstrength.com /Oak Performance. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.